Hello students, a warm welcome to all of you on my YouTube channel. Myself Sasank Tripathi from Panier Montessori Inter College, Lakpeda Wagh, Barabanki. My dear students, today we will read about a poem of class second year composed by Thomas Gray named An Elegy written in a country churchyard. As we talk about poet Thomas Gray, who was born in London in 1716. He was educated at Eton and Cambridge. He worked as a professor of historical past at Cambridge. He was selected for Poet Laureate in 1757, but he rejected. After that, in 1758, he was appointed at Cambridge as a professor of historical past. Thomas Gray was considered as transitional poet, as a bridge between a classical age of Dryden and Pope and romantic age of Wordsworth and Coleridge. In this elegy, he has given his tribute to the easy, ignorant, and unknown people who find themselves buried of their graves. As it is mentioned in the poem, there were some people who were buried in a graveyard of a hamlet. Hamlet means a small village. Those people were very simple, and poet is advising the human being not to be happy on their wealth, beauty, power, and success, because each one has to achieve only one end, that is death. As in this poem, poet has mentioned about the short and simple people who are with their unclear, very fade, obscure fate. So we should not laugh at them with disdainful smile. Thomas Gray was remained bachelor and died in 1771. This elegy is not private. It was completed in 8 years. Okay, students, and this poem from an elegy written in country churchyard, as mentioned in the title, churchyard word. Poet is standing in a churchyard and saying his feelings, also mentioning surroundings, natures, and a lot of things happening in his surroundings. Okay, students, now we start first stanza of the poem. The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd wind slowly over the lake. The ploughman homeward plods his weary way and leaves the world to darkness and to me. Here, the poet is standing in the churchyard and describing about the evening scene in these lines. There the curfew means the evening bells, tolls means rings, knell means announce or point time, a parting day means the end of the day. Lowing herd means a group or herd of cattle. Homeward plots his very way. Plots means होता है movement. His very way, very full of tiredness, and leaves the world to darkness and to me. Here the poet says that the day is coming to be an end. Therefore, the church bells, curfew tolls, church bells are being rung. The cattle in their groups are returning towards the places where they would stay for the night. The lowing herd wind slowly over the lake. The cattle are running or going towards the places where they would stay for the night. The plowman homeward plods his very way. Plowman means kisan, farmer. Homeward plods his very way. Plods means movement, slowly walking his very way. Here the farmer is returning after his day's work to his home, and he is feeling that he was full of tiredness and he is lacking in energy and leaves the world to darkness and to me. In the last line, poet is saying that all these are going to their stay place and leaving the world and to me in the darkness because it is growing dark. Because in the first line you have read about that the curfew tolls the knell of parting day. Church bells are declaring that it was the end of the day. In हिंदी गिरजाघर की जो घंटियां हैं नेल ऑफ पार्टिंग डे दिन के समाप्ति की घोषणा करती हैं. लोइंग हर्ड रंभाते हुए जो पशु हैं. विंड स्लोली ओवर द ली चरागाह के ऊपर से धीरे धीरे प्रस्थान करने लगे हैं, अपने रहने के स्थान की ओर जाना शुरू कर दिए हैं. द प्लोमैन होमवर्ड प्लाट्स हिज वेरी वे. जो किसान है वह अपने घर के रास्ते पर धीरे धीरे थका हुआ किसान अपने घर के रास्ते पर निकल पड़ा है. एंड लीव्स द वर्ल्ड और ये सारी चीज़ें मुझको और संसार को अंधकार में छोड़े जा रही हैं. कवि ये सारी लाइनें अपने गांव के चर्चयार्ड में खड़े होकर ये कह रहा है और अपने शाम के समय को बता रहा है कि कैसे कैसे यह शाम का समय आता जा रहा है. ओके. इन द नेक्स्ट स्टैंजा he is describing about the graveyard scene. Like beneath those rugged elms that yew trees shade, where heaves the turf in many a mouldering heap, each in his narrow cell, forever laid, the rude forefathers of the hamlet sleep. Rugged elms, elms a kind of wild tree growing by itself. Yew tree means a type of tree that grows forever, which is evergreen. Heaves is a word which means the ground rises high, and the turf means some dry grass. A mouldering heap, some destroying heap of mud are going to be destroyed mound. Each in his narrow cell forever laid, the rude forefathers of the hamlet sleep. Hamlet means a small village. Forefathers, the people of previous generations. Here the poet is describing about the graves in the graveyard, where the poor and the neglected people of that small village, which is suggested as Hamlet, are lying buried. The poet says that the uncivilized and simple forefathers. Rude forefather means uncivilized and simple because they belong to old time, past of the present people. The people who are staying at present time, their forefathers are buried there. So the poet is talking about their forefathers. The poet says the uncivilized and simple forefathers of the small village. These graves are very simple and they are beneath the rugged elms and yew trees shade, and their heaps, which means graves, had become some old, and due to their passing of time, there are turf in their heaps. In next line, he is saying that they are laying there. Their forefathers who live in that village, their forefathers are lying there forever, and they are very simple, so we should respect them because they have done their best at their time. In Hindi, we can say that beneath those rugged elms, उन खुरदरे तनों वाले वृक्षों के नीचे, एम्स जो देवदार टाइप के जो वृक्ष हैं उनके नीचे और सदाबहार वृक्षों की छाया में, जहाँ पर हीव्स द टर्फ, हीव्स माने होता है जो कि घास या जो ज़मीन फूल जाती है धीरे ऊपर उठ आती है, और टर्फ माने सूखी घास उगाई है। मैनी अ माउल्डरिंग हीप, जो कब्रें बनी थी जैसे अब बनती हैं उस तरह की नहीं, पहले की जो कब्रें थी वो ऐसे ही बनी थी मिट्टी के ढेर की तरह, उनमें अब घास उगाई है। और प्रत्येक सकरी कोठरी में, ईच इन हिज नैरो सेल, प्रत्येक अपनी अपनी सकरी कोठरी में हमेशा के लिए लेटे हुए हैं। र्यूड फॉर फादर्स, वो असभ्य पूर्वज, ऑफ द हैमलेट, इस हैमलेट छोटे से गांव के, जो कि हमेशा के लिए इसमें सोए हुए हैं। In next stanza, the poet is describing the morning scene of the village. In the village, we have different types of natural scenes like breeze of incense breathing morn, swallow twittering, cock shrill clarion, echoing horn. These are always listening in village. Here in this stanza, the breeze of incense breathing morn. Breeze, the cold air in the morning. Incense breathing morn. Incense means sweet fragrance. Breathing morn, blowing of the wind in the morning. The swallow twittering from their straw-built shade. Swallow, a type of bird. Twittering means chirping. Straw-built shade means nest. The cock's shrill clarion. Shrill means a hard, a harsh voice. Clarion, loud horn or loud sound created by the cock in the morning to awake people. Or the echoing horn. Echoing horn means a type of sound produced by some hunters. No more shall rouse them from their lovely bed. Here the poet is saying that a lot of noises are present in the environment, like the breeze of incense breathing morn, swallow twittering, straw-built shade from their straw-built shade, the cock's shrill clarion, or the echoing horn. But they are unable to rouse the forefathers of the hamlet. Here द ब्रीजी इंसेंस ब्रीथिंग मॉर्न, सुबह की जो ताज़ी सुगंधित वायु है, या पक्षियों के चहचहाने की जो आवाज़ें हैं, जो कि अपने तिनके के बने हुए घोंसलों से आवाज़ कर रहे हैं, या मुर्गे के सुबह की तेज़ बांग देने की आवाज़ हो, चाहे शिकारियों के बिगुल बजाने की आवाज़ हो, इस प्रकार की कोई भी आवाज़ इन जो कब्रिस्तान में जो लेटे हुए हैं पूर्वज हैमलेट गांव के, छोटे से गांव के, इनको उठाने में सारी आवाज़ें असमर्थ हैं, क्योंकि वो अपने आरामदायक बिस्तर पे हमेशा के लिए सोए हुए हैं। नेक्स्ट स्टैंजा, लेट नॉट एम्बिशन मोक देयर यूजफुल टॉयल, देयर होमली जॉयज एंड डेस्टिनी ऑब्सकर, नॉर ग्रैंड्योर हेयर with a disdainful smile, the short and simple annals of the poor. Here, destiny obscure means unknown fate. Grandeur means grand and mighty people. Disdainful smile means with a smile full of hatred. Annal means the brief life story, and in this stanza, the poet expresses sympathy for forefathers of the villagers. They are lying buried under the graves in the churchyard, and he is advising us that we should not mock them. Let not ambition mock their useful toil. Ambition means the people who are ambitious. They should not laugh at their forefathers or on their useful toils or their homely joys or destiny obscure. Destiny obscure means unknown fate. They belong to past, so we should not laugh at them or their homely joys or their simple happiness or their unknown fate. Nor grandeur here. The people who are very mighty or very wealthy, they should not laugh at them with hatred, or they should not hear their stories with disdainful smile, means a smile full of hatred. The poet is showing sympathy towards forefathers, and they are sleeping permanently, never to wake up again. Here in the first stanza, the let not ambition mock their useful toil. Personification, figure of speech is used for the word ambition and grandeur. Here we can see in Hindi, let not ambition mock their useful toil. जो महत्वाकांक्षी लोग हैं उनको अपने पूर्वजों के जो घरेलू आनंद थे और जो उनके द्वारा किए गए परिश्रम थे, उपयोगी परिश्रम थे, और उनके जो धुंधला भाग्य था, अस्पष्ट भाग्य था, उस पर उपहास नहीं करना चाहिए। नार ग्रैंड्योर हियर, और जो वैभवशाली लोग हैं उन्हें उन छोटे और साधारण लोगों के इतिहास को पढ़कर घृणात्मक हंसी के साथ उसे सुनना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि उन्होंने अपने समय पर जो प्राप्त साधन थे, फैसिलिटीज़ जो उनको अवेलेबल थी, उनका उपयोग करते हुए उन्होंने अपना बेस्ट करने का प्रयास किया. सो वी शुड नॉट लाफ एट देम एंड वी शुड नॉट मोक ऑफ देम. नेक्स्ट स्टैंजा. द बोस्ट ऑफ हेरल्ड्री, द पंप ऑफ पावर, and all that beauty, all the wealth ever gave, awaits alike the inevitable hour. The paths of glory lead but to the grave. Boast of heraldry means the pride belonging to a noble family. Some people who born in a great family and they are proud of that, so we should not proud at that. Or other things like beauty, wealth, these are not forever. All types of persons, each persons should die like others. And in the last line, the paths of glory lead but to the grave. All types of ways surely belong to the grave, means death. In the last lines, poet expresses his ideas that nothing is everlasting. Everyone, rich or poor, high or low, dies in the end. The poet asks the rich people that they should not speak very high of themselves and feel proud of their family or their beauty, wealth, and all other things which are not made by their own. They are given by their forefathers. And he is also suggesting that everyone has to die. Everything in the world is perishable. Nothing is going to last long. कवि कहने का प्रयास करता है कि द बोस्ट ऑफ हेरल्ड्री, जो ऊंचे कुल में जन्म होने का डींगे हाँकते हैं, शक्ति का प्रदर्शन करते हैं, अपनी सुंदरता या अपने धन पर गुमान करते हैं, घमंड करते हैं, उन्हें ये पता होना चाहिए कि ये सभी प्रकार की चीज़ें अवेयर्स अलाइक द इनएविटेबल हावर, ये निश्चित समय का इंतज़ार करते रहते हैं जो कि एंड है, मृत्यु है। द पाथ्स ऑफ ग्लोरी, जो कीर्ति का रास्ता है, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ कब्र की ओर ले जाता है या मृत्यु की ओर लेके जाता है और कोई भी इससे बच नहीं सकता है। वैभव के सभी रास्ते कब्र की ओर जाते हैं, अर्थात मृत्यु जो है वो सबके लिए आती है। Thus, you can see that here the poet has tried to suggest us that we should not laugh at our forefathers and we should respect them and their all types of things. Okay students, now I am completing my talk and want to your subscriptions for my YouTube channels and likes also. Thank you.